Hi again. How you guys doing? Today I did a study that is very interesting, and actually I myself did not think that I was going to acquire the results that uh, I thought I was going to get. The study today is about slavery, and there's been a couple of YouTube users, which I don't want to include in the name. I don't want to give names, but they asked me to do a study about it. So in my original thought, I thought that actually I was going to encounter a lot of issues related with slavery, but as I found out, I didn't, and it's very interesting what I found. And for those people who read the Bible, this is something that you should actually consider when you dialogue or when you have a discussion about biblical slavery, because actually is not what it seems in the Bible. Now, how so? I typed in the Bible the word slavery. I did not get any results in two of the searches that I did electronically, which really made me wonder a couple of things because that was very strange. Slavery was not there. Actually, I did that in Spanish too, which is a Latin based uh, search. I did it on slaves and nothing at all. Um, Still very shocked that I could not find any results when I typed in the word slave in the Bible and nothing came out. I typed in the word slave and finally I got one answer. So I figured that something must be wrong. And how so? What is wrong? The problem in the Bible is that there's no such thing as slave, but there is bondman. And if you type the word bondman, you're going to see a load of results everywhere. But a bondman is different than a slave. A servant is different than a slave. If we look at the word bondman, is in the Hebrew, it means the word ebed, and it means servant. So bondman means servant. So I did a quick search on Princeton to see what it meant, this word, because I like the translation there in Princeton. It says bondman equals serfdom in the social economic status of one free under feudalism and specifically relates to mannerism in return for protection. So you get in return protection uh, and the right onto their leased field. So they get protection, they get rights. These are people who are servants, and they have a leased field. So they own something. Now, what does the word slave mean in contrast with the word servant? A slave can be held against their own will. This is what Wikipedia says. A person who is owned by someone. This is what Princeton says. Deprive it to have the right to leave. This is what the word yell to be. So he can never be free according to his own will. So he is a slave. He doesn't have a will. His master is the one that tells him everything to do, and he has no rights. No land, he doesn't own anything, he doesn't lease anything, and the worst for him is that he has no protection. He can get hit, they can do whatever they wants with him. Now, the word that I did find that said slave in the Bible, which I recommend everybody to look for this word. If you don't believe me, search it. It's the ultimate. That's what you have to do anyway. Jeremiah 2:14. This is what it says. It's Jeremiah 2:14. Is Israel a servant? Okay, so this is word servant. Is he a homeborn slave? Wait, it's giving us a definition between servant and slave, and the first verse that I find, it says slave on it. Very peculiar. And then it says, why is he spoiling? So, in definition, if God allows slavery, well, apparently, like, there is a distinction in the Bible between servant and slavery. And if there's only one verse that says slave, then we have a big problem. And I think that a lot of people who have not studied are going to come to the same conclusions I did. Now I'm going to look at Exodus 21 um, 2, because this is the rights of a servant that I found, and this is in Exodus, which is the second book in the Old Testament. And you should know by now that this is actually the laws that God gave um, to the children of Israel. So let's see what it says. Exodus 21 2. If thou buy a Hebrew servant, so if you buy a Hebrew servant, so therefore purchased, okay, the 6th year he shall serve, and in the 7th he shall go free for nothing. So he can go free. If at the 7th year he can go free. He was purchased, okay, and and at the 7th year he has to go free. It's commanded by God. Now, if we look at history, specifically now, I can go and purchase a servant right now who can clean my house and have a debt with him and say, you can live under my household, because actually servants, as it says here in Princeton, specifically on a household, he can have my protection, live under my home, but in the 7th year, he breaks the contract with me, so he has to go free. So I'm giving him protection, and it's not like he's actually getting something from me, and that's something a slave would not get. A servant does get that, so it's different. And a lot of people, I'm sure, like if you look at the Old Testament, Middle Ages, because of feudalism, and other stages, like servants had a lot of protection, unlike slaves who were captured, tortured, and God knows what. Number 3 says, if he came by himself, he shall go out by himself. If he is married, his wife shall go with him. So if he wants to be married, because he has a 7-year contract, his wife has to go with him. That's the law. So if he didn't want to go, if the wife did not want to marry him, then the wife did not have to be under the household. He's married, well, should go with him. So that means that, he is going to do like something, and his wife is going to do something with him, because that's how they have the laws over there. So it was really up to you if you want to get married or not. They didn't force you to get married, but it was up to you. It's again, there's the difference between servant and slavery. Number 4, it says, if his master given him a wife, and she had borne them sons and daughters, wife and children shall be her master's, and he shall go out by himself. So he had a choice. Again, if his master gave him a wife, he had the choice to marry or not, according to number 3. And he had borne them sons and daughters, because they're under the household, and he's been feeding them. It's the master who's been feeding the wife and kids, not him, according to his income, because he lives under the household, which the master provides him with food. Okay? Wife and children shall be their masters, and he shall go out by himself. So the 7-year contract states that if you get married, your wife has to come with you to the household, because that's the law. And this wife and children shall, if you have kids, then the master, the person who owns the place, and this definition of master historically has been very like slave, and it's bad, but master is somebody that owns something. Like I own this laptop, I'm the master of this laptop, and stuff like that. Under law, because I paid for it. Wife and children shall be her masters, and shall go out by himself. So if he didn't want to get married, he would not to be in the situation. And actually, if you wanted to, in the next verse, if you wanted to get married, then that means that if he decided to stay with his daughter and kids, he could stay. So, no, in the Bible, there's servants. There's not slavery. And God does not promote slavery, but servants, there's been servants everywhere. And I would like to be a servant if I lived under Bill Gates and he's giving me money under a 7-year contract. Why the hell not? I'll probably make more money than I'm doing now if I worked in a pizza place, right? All my life. So why not? So there's a difference between rights and non-rights. There's a difference between servant and slave. Thank you very much.